Welcome, everybody. It's that time. It's Thursday. It's 8 o'clock. It's actually 8:05. And so we're 5 minutes late, but partly because I got in here a little late to build everything and get it ready. So those notifications went out on time. So here we are. We're live, and we're going to do some different stuff tonight. We're going to find out if this works. We're going to find out if you guys like it. If nobody likes this, we won't do it anymore. If a lot of people enjoy it, we'll see. We may start doing something like this, at least maybe through the summer. Try it a few times and just kind of see what the feedback is. But I'm not going to have a panel tonight, so I just wanted to do something a little bit different. And then I didn't prepare anything, so I'm going to just kind of leave it entirely up to all of you out there in Cyberland to just kind of help me run this one tonight. We'll just kind of flesh the format. We'll talk about what you guys want to talk about. We'll still talk about a couple things that I want to talk about, and that's going to be about it. So no panel, just me and myself and I tonight. Of course, my beautiful bride is in her producer's chair, just off the camera, right over that way. And so she's going to hold it down out there in the chat too and make sure that I don't miss any pertinent questions or comments. So if you're watching live, please drop those comments over there in the live chat section. It's either off to the side or it's down below the picture where my ugly mug is talking right now. So if you're not watching this live, we would really love to have you join us. That happens Thursday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time. And we would love to have you join us live. Drop those comments in the live chat section. On Facebook, you can comment just in the normal section as we're live. And we will get to see those as well. If you comment after the fact, I will still see them later. I just can't talk about them during the broadcast. But same thing on YouTube. You can still comment down below, even if you're catching this on replay. And if you're listening to this on any of the audio versions, you can hit those comments, but I'm probably not going to see them. So we have an email address. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can email, and I'll put it up on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube or Facebook. And, I forget Spotify. You can watch this. You don't have to just listen. If you have Spotify, you can watch this. It's not live. It doesn't go up until a week later. So last week's episode dropped on Spotify and the audio version or the audio sites tonight at 5 Central Time. But if that's your preferred method, then you can watch them. You don't just have to listen. So just so everybody knows that's out there. But if you want to get a hold of me, send an email to nesandhillsmedia@gmail.com, just like it is there on the screen. Letter N, letter E, that's for Nebraska. Not New England, not Northeast. It's nesandhillsmedia@gmail.com. And if you're trying to get a hold of me and you are wanting to share a link or anything like that, you have something you want to talk about, article, what have you, then you can send the link over in the email as well. If you don't have, if it's on Facebook, I think you can still post the link. On YouTube, you have to have a blue wrench to do that. And sometimes we're a little stingier with the blue wrenches, so not everybody has one. But that's what's happening. And of course, the views and opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the individual expressing them, which is this guy right here, me, tonight. Do not necessarily reflect the views of any of the sponsors, including tonight's sponsor. We're not offering any legal advice, no medical advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a police officer. However, I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express here a couple years ago. So I'm still, I think, got a little bit of the intelligence that's left over from that experience, because apparently that makes me a pretty smart feller. So, also, before I jump into comments and stuff here, I just want to mention, again, we are a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. So go check us out over there. And, you're checking us out right here, so you don't have to go over there for us. But if you do go over there, you're going to find some really cool stuff. Armed Lutheran Radio and Gun Freedom Radio and Riding Shotgun with Charlie. The Armed Citizen podcast from Ghost. There's all kinds of cool stuff over there, and it's changing all the time. They keep adding more and more. So go check those out, and you can listen to everything that you can find over there. Agorizer says he's wrenchless. What happens here? What if I do this? Agorizer, I think your next comment, you'll find that last comment is now false. So the test revealed that was not a lie, but we have changed things for you. You know what? We'll hand out some blue wrenches tonight too. So a few of you that aren't used to having a blue wrench, just be nice out there. Remember, don't abuse the band hammer, because we will revoke your blue wrench status. So all right, let's see. Is there anything else that I need to mention? Yes. One more thing. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you live on YouTube and Facebook, and also Facebook. 2 different Facebook pages. I'm not actually dumb. So 2 different Facebook pages, the Sandhills Media page and the Get Off My Lawn podcast page. We're live right now, and YouTube. We couldn't do it without our sponsors. So tonight's show is brought to you by Garrett Keel over at Open Country Firearms in Osmond, Nebraska. If you're anywhere near Northeast Nebraska, you need to go get in touch with Garrett and see what he can do for you. Garrett's goal with Open Country was to create a great storefront and assist responsible gun owners in new and used purchases, custom orders, transfers, and more. He's always been an advocate for the Second Amendment and thought opening his own gun store would be an excellent way to help shooters get what they want and connect with new people. You can call Garrett at 402-8410970 or visit opencountryfirearms.com for some of the best deals on new and used firearms, ammunition, and now suppressors. And he's getting into some thermal optics, all kinds of cool stuff. I've been told, I have not experienced this myself, but I've been told that going out at night after dark, hunting coyotes in the wintertime with a thermal optic in the pitch black and a silenced rifle is some of the most fun that you can have with your clothes on. And so I've not experienced the coyote hunting like that. I would love to go try it sometime. If you've been there and you've done that, you can report there in the comments and let me know if that's true. But go get a hold of Garrett. He'll get you hooked up. He's got the stuff. So, all right. And when I say he's got the stuff, I'm not talking about anything illegal. But he'll get you hooked up. He's got the stuff. So, all right. What's going on back over here on the comment side? Who's out there right now? Who do we have? We've got DJ Play Nice is in the house. Because of the title of tonight's show, he thought maybe that John Cleese and company were coming in, which would be tough. Didn't John Cleese die? But no, we're not going to do a Monty Python. We're no sketch comedy tonight. You don't want me trying to be. You guys see me try to be funny in here. It doesn't work. But I just thought we'd try something completely different and just kind of hang out tonight. So we've also got Irish Wristwatcher out there. He is where did I see that? Enjoying the Nebraska humidity. Irish Wristwatcher, I forget where you are. Drop that comment in there, would you? Because I forgot where you watch from. Of course, my beautiful bride, Sandhills Sweetheart, is in the chat there. She does the typing, I do the talking, although tonight I'm going to try and watch more of what's going on in the chat since I don't have anybody else on the panel there to listen to. Agorizer is out there, as we mentioned before. Sam of Anarchy 92. Sam Wolf is in the house. Who else do we have? That's looks like that's got. Oh, Mike is there. I see Mike there. Gizzard Gary's in the house. And if I've missed anybody, you need to throw more comments. Oh, Scott 79. I see you out there. If I didn't say your name, get those comments in there. We can't see you if you're not watching. If you're not commenting, if you're watching on the YouTube side. And if you're on the Facebook side, then drop those comments too. We want to know you're out there. We want to say hi. And everybody, you know what? If we just do kind of a roll call, where is everybody from? Some of you, I know, Gizzard, I know where you are. Honestly, Gizzard and DJ are the only ones that I can honestly remember exactly where you are. So the rest of you, if you want to just remind me, and if you're new, get in there. Let's have a conversation tonight. And let's find, Dawson County. Hey, I used to live there. What, you don't have to obviously give me an address. Which town are you, or near anyway? What's your address? I lived for a hot minute in Gothenburg. I knew some folks over in the Willow Island area long time ago, and I don't think any of them are still around over there. So DJ, that I did know. DJ's in the Omaha area. Gizzard's down there. He's our neighbor to the south in Kansas. Goes Ed. Yep, that's where I used to go to church. All right, so what's going on out in the world? What do you guys want to talk about? This might go a long time tonight. This might go nowhere. I guess we'll find out. But we're just gonna kind of hang out. Um, what happened? Oh, we're talking about cursing and using lots of words instead of cursing. So, home of the best sheriff in America, aka the Gunshine State, about 15 minutes west of Disney. I don't know. There's some really good sheriffs out there. So your sheriff is in the running, but there's a few others out there that seem to be doing just a bang up job that are um, out there on the border. I know of a couple in, I think it's Arizona. I've heard of a couple down in Texas that are just amazing sheriffs too. But not to take away anything from your sheriff. I'm sure yours is great. I'm just saying, best sheriff in America. I don't know. That's a pretty tall order. So you're gonna have to have your sheriff kind of live up to that now. You just contact him or her and let them know that. Gizzards out there in the catfish capital of the world, which is now that could go two ways. Are we talking about like some sort of fish, that has the whiskers and skin instead of scales? Or are we talking about, you get online and you've got a different profile, Gary? When Gary's online, are you like some big boobed blonde or something that's just messing with those lonely dudes out there? Because I know that happens a lot, and I think that's called catfishing. And Gary, if that's what you're doing, you know what? Not even shame. If you can have fun doing it, and if you can get them to send you money, do it. Go for it. Free enterprise. Welcome to America. Buyer beware. Just make sure that before. Now, I work in a phone store. Guys, I see this all the time. And it's not only lonely dudes. I see this from lonely women too. Just make sure, any of you, before you go down to Target or wherever and buy all those gift cards and send them off, or you go do the Western Union transfer, whatever it is, meet the person in person. If they're, you have to send them all this money so that they can get away from their abusive spouse or whatnot, and they're going to go move to where you are and move in with you and live happily ever after with you, but they just need you to fund it. Guarantee you're not the only one sending them money, and you're not the only one who's going to hear tomorrow why they still couldn't leave. So just throwing that out there. And like I said, it happens more than you would ever think it does to people that you would not suspect it would happen to. All right, he's talking about I knew what he meant. Gary's not a catfisher. I know that. But the yummy stuff you eat with hush puppies, the noun version of the word, not the verb version of the word. So we're going to get into parts of speech and grammar and all that. Then we have to talk about assault and how that is a verb and not a noun. Oh, or excuse me, not an adjective. So a lot of people, I've seen that that t-shirt. Where else have I seen it? Memes. Assault is a verb, not an adjective. Although people usually say not a noun, and that's not actually true either. So okay, just for clarification, Agorizer is coming clean, putting up the disclaimer. If he doxes everybody with his new wrenchy powers, it was all for safety and transparency. It was all a big mistake, and he is just as sorry as the California Department of Justice or whoever that was, that Attorney General's office, I think it was, that made that teeny little mistake. It was just an honest little oops, and we're sorry, you California gun owners who had your name and address plastered up there for all the world to see. So the good news is there aren't going to be too many people stupid enough to come and find you knowing that you're armed. But the bad news is there are going to be still a lot of stupid people that will chance it. And so just be careful. And what's worse is you're in California, so you have to really mind your P's and Q's if you do defend yourself with a firearm, and make sure that you know what the state laws are regarding use of force and use of deadly force and whatnot. And I tell you what, as an instructor, I can tell you that there's a lot of red tape there, and there's way more to it than anybody ever stops to think about until it's brought to your attention. So Fried pickles are a sodium weapon. I don't know if they're a salt weapon, but they're definitely a sodium weapon, Agorizer. So yes, Uncle Gizzard instead of Uncle Ben, it's Uncle Gizzard giving out that great advice. With great power comes great responsibility. So if you got a new blue wrench tonight, you have to yes, you have to exercise your power responsibly. Although most of you that hear my voice when I do this are gun owners, and I would venture a guess that 99% to 100% of you already know that you need to exercise your power responsibly. That's what it all comes down to, right? I mean, having a firearm is power, but it's only the irresponsible ones. Excuse me, it's only the irresponsible ones that cause the problems. So here's something that I want to throw out. I've said this. I don't remember if I've said this on air. I know I've said this before in conversations and on probably on Facebook, but just something for you to think about and for you to bring into the conversation when you're talking to somebody who is anti-gun or maybe just gun neutral or gun squishy. Squishy is a good term. They're not really, hard and fast on one end of the spectrum or the other. And we won't call it a fence. We'll call it a teeter-totter, but they're kind of in that in-between area where it's just really not all that stable. And it could go up or down. It could go either way. So that's what the squishy people are. Just remind them that law-abiding gun owners have never committed crimes in the history of ever. Let that sink in. Law-abiding gun owners have never committed a crime, ever. Because once they commit a crime, they're no longer law-abiding gun owners, are they? They become criminals. So law-abiding gun owners follow the law. Even when the laws are stupid, if you strive to be a law-abiding gun owner, you strive to follow the law. And that doesn't mean that sometimes people unknowingly break the law, but we try, right? We always try to obey the law to the best of our ability. And there's never been a law-abiding person who's ever broken the law because they cease to become law-abiding. So it's the law-abiding, though, that get punished. And I'd like more of these politicians to explain to me what their mental gymnastics and their thought process is when they decide that the best way to affect the criminals is to punish the people who aren't breaking the law because they're the only ones that care to follow it anyway. So just really, really curious about that. Wristwatcher says, shot my new Strybog PCC for the first time, and wow, I think that may replace my home defense gun. I remember vaguely what that is, but I don't remember off the top of my head what that one is. But I'm not going to take the time right now and go look up a picture since I don't have any. You guys would just see a whole bunch of me staring off at my screen and not talking while I do that. We're not going to do that tonight. So what else is going on out there? What did I miss? We've got Patriot in the Dark is in the house. What's up, Mr. Patriot? So I know I always talk and I say that I don't want to cover current event stuff because I want these to still be somewhat valid, 6 weeks from now or 6 months from now or 6 years from now. But there's a couple things that I did want to mention tonight that just completely baffled me to the extent that one of these we may end up talking about here in a future broadcast here in the next couple weeks. But if you guys pay attention to any of the political aspect of the not only the fight for our rights as gun owners, but the fight to strip us of our rights as gun owners, and if you pay attention to New York, or if you're in New York or know anybody who is, then their lovely governor, governor, how does that work? Interim governor. She's not a governor elect yet because she was the lieutenant governor who assumed the office when Cuomo had to leave as governor. So she stepped in. She's not been elected to the office yet. I think she's going to run, but there was a reporter that was asking her about all of the statistics and how many people have their lives saved every year by having a firearm. And the reporter wanted to know, has the governor um, considered all of those numbers and all those statistics, because she was just bragging about all of the bills that she had just signed and all the crap that New York is doing now um, to try and further restrict your rights as gun owners, especially after NYSRPA v. Bruin has been decided by the Supreme Court. So now New York State and New York City are they're in, I guess they're running their 2-minute drill, is what you could say. They're just trying to shove every way to still encroach upon your rights to keep and bear arms as they can, and try, it's kind of like when you draw the line and you tell the little kid, don't go past this point. So what do? They stick their toe over the line to see if you'll do anything. And then they get a little more bold and they stick their whole foot over the line and they pull it back. And then pretty soon they put their foot down on the ground over the line. And the next thing you know, they're standing on the other side of it, and then they take off running. And if we haven't done anything to put them back into check, then the line didn't really do any good. And we keep saying, not one more inch, and we keep not one more inching. So what else do we expect? But back to the story here, the reporter asked her if she had considered the statistics of all of the people whose lives are saved by their firearms. And I'm paraphrasing, but I could pull it up, but I'm not going to right now. But she basically said, I don't need the numbers to know what I have to do for my state. The numbers aren't important. The statistics aren't important to her. I don't need the numbers to know what I have to do, which made me think, thank God she's not an ER doctor. Because can you imagine going into the emergency room? The paramedics wheel you in on the gurney. You're laying there, blood pouring out of some area of you. And maybe you've been in a terrible pedestrian versus car accident. A car hit you and you've got broken bones. You're leaking blood out someplace. Probably some internal damage too. And the paramedics come in and the doctor walks over, to the door as they're coming in. And the paramedics start to tell the doctor what happened, right? That's kind of normal. So the doctor kind of gets a little bit of a background on what's happening with this patient. And the doctor says, I don't need the numbers to know what to do for this patient. Just leave me alone. So how exactly? I mean, can you imagine? I don't need an X-ray. I don't need vitals. I don't need a blood pressure. I don't need a CAT scan. I'm just going to go ahead and cast up that foot. How in the world could we possibly expect a semi-elected official? I mean, she was elected to the office of lieutenant governor. How can you possibly tell people that you've got their best interest in mind when you don't even care about facts, numbers, or statistics when you make decisions? Then you're not basing your decisions off of reality. You're basing your decisions off of what you want to do, which is fine if you're queen. But Kathy Hochul is not queen of New York. She's governor of New York. She doesn't get that kind of authority to just make decisions on a whim without A, considering what's happened in the past, B, considering what she's about to do, how it will affect people in the future, and C, answering to her state as a whole. So it just flabbergasted me that she would say something like that on camera to the microphone to a reporter who asked her about those numbers. And she said, I don't need the numbers. I don't need to see them. They don't matter. It's just completely stupid. But I think in that statement, she also proved that she is completely stupid. And that's why it's so important, kids, to go to the voting booth and not only go there, but pay attention to the names that are on that ballot. Research them, vet them, find out who the right person is to vote for, and then vote for that person. That's why we have primaries. So you can send the right person from your party to that general election ballot in November. And then you can vote for that person. Now, the person that I voted for in the primary for governor here in Nebraska, that's not the person who got elected in the primary election on that ballot. And so he's not who I voted for previously, but considering who he's running against on the other side, he's going to probably get my vote. Remains to be seen. She's definitely not getting my vote. If I vote for governor, it'll be him. I typically don't like to express who I voted for, but when it's, somebody terrible or somebody probably not all that bad, and it's hard to tell what's truth and what's not. There was an awful lot of mudslinging going on, even on the Republican side of that primary. If you're in Nebraska, then you know, or if you get TV from Nebraska, then you know. Um, but anyway, um, that's why it's so important, kids. You get somebody like Kathy Hochul in as your governor because the other governor had to leave and Lieutenant Governor steps in. If Virginia hadn't been paying attention, then Northam would still be governor, and instead of the I can't think of his name now, but the guy that they have, he may not be an angel, but at least he seems way better than Governor Blackface. So Agarizer says the former vice president is demented. And by former vice president, I believe he's referring to the current president. Will and not Mike Pence, I'm guessing, and still will be when someone watches this in the future, when he will still be the former vice president. So yeah, unfortunately, we don't have to like it. He is our president, and it's just the way it is. I don't know what happened here with this comment. I'm not sure what the duct tape is. You lost me, Patriot. I'm not sure what duct tape is all about, but that's cool. If I could just be dumb, that's fine. Another timeless truth: leftists don't want the facts. We did this here a couple years ago on this show. It was either this one or it was back when it was still 2A Tuesday. I'm not sure which it was, but we had an entire episode about feelings don't care about your facts. Ben Shapiro is often quoted about saying facts don't care about your feelings, which is true. I mean, the fact is that your feelings don't matter. The truth is the truth, no matter what we all think of it. We don't have to like it, but it doesn't make it any less true, no matter what we say about it. But the reverse is also true. And if you're going to deal with those people, then you have to understand where they're coming from. And if you refuse to understand where they're coming from, I'm not saying that you have to like it. I'm not saying that you have to change. But if you refuse to understand where they're coming from, then you'll never be able to deal with those people. Just keep that in mind. So if you want to deal with them, you at least have to understand them. I'm not asking you to compromise anything. I'm just saying that you need to do a little research. And those people being typically the lefties, the leftists, not people who aren't right-handed, not you southpaws, leftists. Let me differentiate leftists from lefties. I know some pretty decent left-handed people. My fully semi-official co-host, Defense Dad, is one of those. I like to say wrong-handed. I'm right-handed, you're wrong-handed, and nobody finds it as funny as I do. But I digress. So just pay attention. Pay attention to your candidates, and remember that the leftists, here I am doing it again. Leftists just, all they care about is the feelings. They care about how stuff feels, and the feelings don't care about your facts, which is true. Think about the people who lost loved ones in Highland Park during that parade. It does not matter that it's a rare thing. It does not matter that statistically speaking, you're more likely to be injured to and from the parade than you are as an onlooker, a spectator at the parade. That doesn't matter. The people who lost somebody, their feelings don't care about the facts right now. They're grieving. They lost somebody. They don't care why. I mean, they may eventually. We always try to make sense of things, right? That's our human nature, is to try to make sense of the senseless. And that's why it's so frustrating, because you cannot make sense of things that are senseless like that. But, ultimately they don't care about the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why of any of it, other than whoever they care about is gone now. Or I don't know all the details of that. If there are people in the hospital fighting for their lives right now, the people that lost their lives, I'm not sure what all happened. But the parents, at Uvalde, who lost their babies, there's nothing that you could say factual that's going to matter. If you want to get through to those people, just go there and be there for them. But for now, give them space. But I mean, there's nothing that you can say in that in that instance that's going to change anything and make those people feel any better. And now let's go back a step, and the people who are who feel bad for those people, the ones who they feel so terrible about the whatever happened, even though it didn't directly affect them. They're just, people across the country say, that's terrible and whatever. And so now they are they're trying to wrestle with their feelings too about how terrible this is. They look at their own kid and think, but for the grace of God, that's me grieving the loss of my child. And there's no fact out there that is going to get through to some of those folks. Even though it is true, it's a fact, the child is in more danger in the vehicle to and from school than once they get there. And last I knew, your child is still more likely to be struck by lightning than shot in school. But at the same time, none of that matters to the grieving parent. None of that matters to the paranoid parent who is just terrified that that's, their kid's school is going to be the next place where this happens. So again, I mean, there's lots of things we can do about that. We can't all agree on the right thing to do about that. But let's go back to Kathy Hochul. I mean, again, thinking of that ER doc, let's look at what's actually happened. Let's get the numbers. Let's get the vital signs on that patient. Let's find out from the paramedics what they've done to stabilize in the field to get that patient to the hospital alive. I mean, let's go ahead and take that x-ray or that CAT scan or whatever you need to see what's going on the inside of that patient. So it's just so, it's completely stupid and it's completely arrogant to think that you have the answers when you don't have the data. So I can't imagine having somebody like that as the chief executive of my state. We already have somebody that doesn't know answers. It doesn't have any answers unless they're on his teleprompter as the chief executive of the nation. Thank goodness he's got a team of handlers. It's bittersweet, right? So it's good that he's not the real power in the throne, but it's bad that he's also being run by this faceless group of people that we don't actually know who the real power is behind the throne. So that's terrible. Let's see here. Patriot in the Dark. On a separate note, do not choose your officials by the NRA grading scale. Yeah, it's funny how that works, isn't it? If you can, just talk to those officials, those candidates. Talk to them. See if they'll sit down with you. If they really want your vote, they will make time for you. And if they treat you like you're not important because you're not, you don't have millions of dollars or thousands of dollars at least to donate to a campaign, then they're not your candidate. I'll tell you that right now. They may be so busy that they have a hard time squeezing you in. But if they at least are willing to make the effort to try, even if it's just for a couple minutes, it might not be a whole hour of their day. But if they're at least, say, hey, I can't get away right now, but come by the office. I want to at least come shake your hand and get to know you and put a face to the name. That to me speaks way louder than anything else that a candidate could do, because we've all been jaded, right? All the promises that they make you, and you don't know if they're telling the truth. And a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of those people that have never been in politics like to make promises in a campaign, and then they get into the state legislature or Congress, whatever it is, and they find out, oh crap, that's not how this works. I can't just go in there and do whatever I want. And so I wish more people would talk about that. That's one of the things that I want to expose more this next legislative session in Nebraska. Partly through myself, partly as much as we can through NFOA, but as much as I can too, just pulling back that curtain. They call that legislative body pick a state. I think all 50 of them would be like this. So there are, there's 99 houses of legislature, right, in this country, because we only have one. We don't have two like the rest of you do. And so pick a governing state legislature, Senate or state house, or in my case, the state unicameral. It's a sausage factory. That's what they call those. They call them sausage factories. Why do they call them that? Because just like a real sausage factory, if you saw how it's made, it would turn your stomach and you would not feel good about the end product, because there are so many quid pro quos and everything else that have to go along. And if you want support for your bill, you have to give support to Senator XYZ's bill, even if it's one that you don't like. You have to either support it or at the very least not oppose it, which says something too. And so you've got to balance that with your constituents, and it's a mess. It's a big, ugly, nasty, disgusting mess. That's all it is, just like a sausage factory. So NRA grading scale, I think more of the same. NRA doesn't always have the people's best interest in heart. I think they like to influence you to send the candidates that they want. Remember, they're a PAC, or at least part of the NRA is a PAC. So Pat's out here. Pat's on the road. Pat is, so you should have changed your name from Pat in the bunker to Pat on the road. But I know you can't because you're on the road. So that's all good. Okay, I get it now. ER doctors can always use duct tape. That's always the answer. Well, you're close. Chuck Norris is always the answer, but duct tape is a close second. So they say you can't fix stupid. If you have enough duct tape, you can at least shut it the hell up, and that's nice. And ibuprofen too. So let's see here. DJ says, no doubt after the last vote, I read the NRA rating for the ones that turned live on a show. It was surprising and disgusting to see so many A ratings. Yeah, ugh. That's very, very true. So let's see. What else is going on here? Choose to follow the truth, not facts. Right, gotcha. Also, don't let facts get in the way of a good story, and never let a good tragedy go to waste, right? So Agarizer says Uvalde parents deserve better government than they have. That's for sure. Yes, I agree. Totally agree there. Uvalde students deserve better security than what they have. In fact, almost every school's students deserve better security than what they have, with the possible exception of several inner city schools who have lockdown security. They have metal detectors and bars on doors and windows. And it's funny how people always say when we want more security in a school, we want armed security guards in a school. Then we have the people that brace against that and say, well, I don't want my kid going to school in a prison, all the while not caring that the kids in the inner city who come from less wealthy neighborhoods, less fortunate families, have to go to school every day in a prison-like environment, because it is such a higher likelihood for crime just in the area itself, and most of those kids, those are the kids that truly are in more danger on the way to and from school than while they're in there. But clear backpacks, all that kind of stuff, regular locker inspections, pat downs and metal detectors at the door, and only one point of entry or controlled points of entry. That happens all the time in schools right now, in certain schools, and nobody seems to care about those kids having to go through that. But as long as it's those people and not my kid, then it's fine. I just don't want my kid going through that, right? That's the mentality of those people. But if it's good for the goose, why not also good for the gander? So I don't know. That just makes me wonder a little bit. Let's see what else. I think I'm kind of caught up there. Hackerizer, please don't make me go to Hochul. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have to go to Hochul. I hope not anyway. Let's see what else. Oh, Patriot, I made him hungry. Now he's in the mood for sausages. So sausage. Used to have a coworker that she said almost every word right, except for when it came to sausages. It was funny. Like all of a sudden you're from Brooklyn. Dang it. We caught up to comments. So what else is going on out there? What else you guys want to set me off on? And I'll go on a rant. Pick a topic. Let's go. We'll see what happens. This may not go super late tonight unless you guys decide to really get me cranked up here in the comments, don't intentionally try to make me mad, but if you guys want to wind me up and set me loose, I get it. Sandhill Sweetheart says she's okay with it not going super late. She doesn't like it when I get windy and we end up going a full 2 hours or longer. She usually leaves me before that happens and she goes to bed. But we keep her up past her bedtime normally anyway on a Thursday, so yeah. And for those of you who haven't heard recently, just to kind of give a quick update, everything's great. The last oncologist appointment that we had, it's been a few weeks ago now, but everything's looking perfectly amazing and amazingly perfect. So it's been a little over a year. She turned 1 back in, geez, that was in May, huh? May 11th. She turned 1 year old. Her immune system is now 1 year and almost 2 months old. And so those of you that don't know what happens with a stem cell transplant, at least in her case, I can't speak for every kind of cancer, but when it's a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, that's basically it's your white blood cells rebel and try to kill you. And so what they did was they harvested some stem cells from her own body and held on to them and then gave her enough chemo to literally kill her entire immune system. It completely wiped her clean of white blood cells. She had nothing. She had absolute zero for an immune system. And then they after they gave her all that chemo and killed everything off, then they gave her her own stem cells back, which told her bones to start producing non-cancerous white cells. And it literally is like doing a factory reset on a electronic device. I mean, you're starting fresh and just reloading the software on your hard drive. So that's what they did to her. And so her immune system is now a little over a year old. She's got 2 birthdays, both of them in May. So pretty cool there. We get to do a lot of celebrating throughout the month of May. And let me tell you about this woman. She decided that she wanted to do something cool for a fundraiser at work to commemorate her first birthday. And so she was talking to a coworker and they said, yeah, you should do a diaper drive. We've done those before and they're pretty successful. And she works for one of the auto dealers here in town. So they've got pickups in the showroom floor and they said, yeah, we'll just fill a pickup box full of diapers. And then she picked a local charity who it was started by a couple families who lost their infants to SIDS. And so they specialize in the, what do they call it? An owlet. It's it just goes on their foot, right? It's a little thing you strap on your newborn's foot. And if they don't move every so often, then it sends an alarm. It's kind of like a baby monitor, but different. But I mean, it's 2 pieces. So the part that goes on them and then the part that goes with you where the other end of your baby monitor would be. And it sets off an alarm that says, hey, the baby hasn't moved. Go check the baby, see what's going on. And they apparently they save a ton of kids' lives. And so they like to hand those out along with everything else for expectant mothers, especially the ones that don't have a lot of money to buy stuff for their baby. And God bless them for not murdering their babies. They choose to have them. And so diapers and just formula when they can find it, baby supplies. That's what they compile those and then give those out to expectant mothers that or mothers with newborns who need this stuff, who can use it and can't supply that themselves. So they let it be known that they were having this diaper drive. They actually had enough diapers come in that it took 2 pickup beds to hold it all. And so they every year in our town they have one day out of the year. It's at the end of May, and they call it the Big Give, and it's the day to donate to charity. And a lot of the local charities have things going on, and so this particular one, it's called Briggs and Barrett Project. You can look that up, and I could probably find. Is it just briggsandbarrett.org? Let's just look that up. Briggs and oh no, it's actually .com. We're just gonna do that. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the comments on Facebook and YouTube, so you guys can go check it out too. Even if you're not close to Nebraska or Northeast Nebraska, you can check it out and let them know that you know, you want to help support them or whatnot if you can. So they had their event at one of the event centers here in town, and so it would have been nice to just completely surprise them, but it was looking like rain that afternoon. And so rather than come in at the end of the night and actually drive two pickups into the building, that wasn't going to work. So they did have to load up the diapers, and they took them all down mid-morning that day. But they piled them all inside and then didn't really talk about them. They had Facebook Live and stuff like that happening throughout the day, and they didn't put much up there until the end of the night. And then besides presenting the diapers, then the company that she works for also had raised some extra cash too. So they presented a check, and what they got close to $10,000, didn't they? They got, okay, so they got, by the end of the day, they had over $10,000 in donations. 100,000? I don't remember anymore. But okay, so it was almost $100,000 in donations before well, yeah, because that makes sense. They had what, a $4,000 or $5,000 check at the end of the day there just by that one alone. Yeah, they almost they topped out at, I think it was just shy of $100,000. 90 wasn't 97 or 98. It was a crap ton of money. That's one charity. It was awesome. So that's the heart that my bride has, because she's just got such a giving heart. She wanted to give back. We had so much support from our friends and family and community, you guys out there who knew what was happening when she was going through her stem cell transplant and recovering from all that last year in Omaha, the whole month of May. The reason we had a little bit of a hiatus through the month of May and into June there from the show. But yeah, we couldn't have gotten through without all the support from everybody who supported us. And so that she wanted to give that back, which was cool. She wouldn't tell you guys this, so I have to brag about her. And what was the date on that? May 24th. May 24th. If you can find the Norfolk Daily News, and it's spelled like Norfolk, we say Norfolk Daily News, Norfolk, Nebraska. So it was the 25th of May. She was on the front page of the paper. Not the first time she's been there. Had some other stuff happen a couple years ago where they had an article that she was part of. So pretty cool to see that on the old front page of the paper, to see my beautiful bride and her smile. So, all righty. G-Webs is out there. What's up, G-Webs? We're just kind of hanging out tonight. I don't have a panel. We're just talking about whatever comes to my mind or whatever comes to the comments. So if you've got something you want to talk about, G, go ahead and throw it out there in the comments. Nobody is even sometimes people like to do this where they'll throw a grenade, drop a grenade in the room, in the comments, and then just duck back out. Nobody's done that to me yet, so appreciate that, you guys. Let's see here. So I know I saw some comments there. I don't remember now what I had said, but Jeff said, "Can you blame her? Congratulations." So yes, congratulations to my sweetheart. So anyway, I don't remember now what I was about to say, but that's okay. That's how my brain works, guys. I get distracted. So yeah, you guys feel free to light it up in the comments out there. But if we're not going to get much more for comments and get anything started, then we may just kind of wrap up a little early tonight. That I don't think it'll hurt too many people's family there or feelings there. So Agorizer, thanks for asking people for the thumbs up. Yes, please go hit that like button. Give us a thumb up, or heck, thumb down. I don't care. It still goes in the algorithm as a response. So if you think you're hurting me by thumbing it down. You're not. Go ahead and do it. I don't care. There's no such thing as bad press. So, oh, not wanting to go late with the show. That's what it was. So G says, just got here. What's the deal? No deal. No topic tonight. Whatever people want to talk about. So honestly, now that I think about it, kind of what you do some nights, G, where it's just you, except for you don't always have you don't have the camera pointed at you, and people have to sit through my ugly mug. But aside from that, there anything you want to bring up or whatever, we can talk about it. But for the most part, I haven't really gone off too much, except for Kathy Hochul over in New York saying she doesn't need the numbers to know what's right for her state. She doesn't need statistics about how many people's lives are saved with guns versus, just ban everything. Let's just take them all away from people. I don't need the numbers to know what I have to do is right. So, which was stupid and arrogant, I thought. I compared that to an ER doctor telling the paramedics who bring an accident victim in, I don't need the numbers. I don't need you to tell me what's going on to know what to do for this patient. So obviously that's not how you save lives. The only way that you save lives is to know what's going on, both in the emergency room and in the political world when you are elected to, or excuse me, when you take over an executive office like that. So she was not elected. She's trying. I think she's going to run again. Oh, there's a good question. Let me see here. I see it on YouTube's. There it is, coming through on StreamYard. Put it on the screen. Interviewed and talked with a lot of 2A aware people for a while now. What's my opinion of the next 2 year for 2A, the next 6 years? Wow. That's a great question. I think in the next 2 years, we're going to see, I think we're going to see the fight for our rights as gun owners to kind of come to a head. And I don't mean that, again, literally. I don't mean sending lead down range. I mean in the courts, in the court of public opinion, potentially across social media, depending on what Elon Musk gets done once that sale goes through on Twitter. And I don't know what'll happen on Twitter, if it's going to be any different than for Facebook, or what's going to happen after that. But I think that this Supreme Court has now drawn its line in the sand and said we are going to look at every case that comes before us under the microscope of the Constitution of the United States of America, and personal feelings be damned. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully they stay with that on every decision that they make moving forward, no matter what it's about. We won't always agree with all of them, but if they, if the decisions are coming from a true constitutional perspective, then, I think I can at least live with that, even if I don't like the decision. But I think that we're gonna see some pretty far out things we never would have thought we'd see before. And it's starting right now in the states that are choosing to defy the Bruin ruling. New York, especially New York City, trying to basically ban firearms every public place now that the Supreme Court has said you can't stop people from carrying in public. Now they're going to try and stop people from carrying in public every chance they get. We're going to see things like Phil Murphy, right? Is that his name, in New Jersey, that just signed whatever dozen anti-gun laws into law there in New Jersey, or bills into law there in New Jersey. We're going to see a lot of that stuff happen. And then we're going to find out if the Supreme Court constitutionally has our backs or not. We're going to see what happened. And everything is tied together, right? This upcoming election, if people don't go out and vote and vet the candidates and make sure that they're electing people or re-electing people, whatever is the case, that will uphold their oath to the Constitution. If people aren't willing to go vote and ensure that that the Democrats don't keep control of the House and gain control of the Senate, if that happens, we're going to see 5 more Supreme Court justices added to the Supreme Court, and President Dingbat or Vice President I still say as soon as she can next year, Biden will be out and Harris will be in. Mark my words, and I'd love to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I still say it's going to happen. But at any rate, I'm pretty sure that either Biden or Harris will gladly sign that bill if it gets passed by both houses. And so we can't let something like that happen, because they want to do that because they don't get their way. And if we can't get our way, that it's one of those things where mom said no. That's fine. I'll go ask dad. Dad's a pushover. Dad will give me what I want. And that's exactly what's happening. So we need mom and dad to be a united front. We need all 3 legs of this government to be a united front. And right now they're not, which is why we have checks and balances, right? That was put into place to keep everybody from being overrun and letting the government turn tyrannical. And it's okay that they don't always agree with each other. In fact, if they do, terrible things happen, right? If we had a Democrat majority in Congress, the House and the Senate, and on the Supreme Court, and a Democrat in the White House, can you imagine what would happen to liberty and freedom as we know it? If there would be liberty and freedom left anymore as we know it, that'd be terrible. So that's a lot of words to still not answer the question. But the next couple of years, I think that we see a lot of this come to a head. We see FPC and SAF and GOA and all of the organizations that are not spinning their wheels, and the NRA, like it or not, the NRA is out of the fight right now. When it comes to fighting for your rights, they're not in it. The other organizations are doing the heavy lifting, while the NRA is still important, and they're absorbing the punches while the other organizations can do the heavy lifting. So it's not that they're worthless. But at the same time, if you're going to send money, make sure that you do support the organizations that are willing to file these lawsuits and get these cases run up the chain of appeals into the Supreme Court. But we're going to see a lot of it, and we're going to see a lot of this crap get challenged, and we'll I guess it remains to be seen. Will the Supreme Court actually slap these states and these cities down and say, I already told you, I have spoken. What's the guy from The Mandalorian at the beginning there, the first season? Nick Nolte voiced him. But anyway, that guy, maybe they'll be like that, and they won't waffle. We'll see. As long as we stick with 9 of them and we don't get 13 of them or 15 or 27 or who knows how many justices they'll want to put in there just to make sure that they can ride roughshod over us. So the next 6 years, I don't even want to comment on 6 years from now until I know for sure what's going to happen 2 years from now. But I think that in the next 6 years, it's either 6 years from now, one of 2 things is going to happen. This is going to be a utopia for one side or the other. Everything comes to a head before 6 years is over. And we either completely lose our minds as a country, and the whole country turns into CHOP or Chaz or whatever, just completely run by idiots and morons who haven't thought this through, and then we turn into Venezuela pretty quick. Or it goes the other way, and it's a utopia for the people who love individual freedom, individual liberty, personal responsibility, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. I can't see it being any in between, although I'm not opposed to in between. I'm not opposed to either extreme. I'm not opposed to neither extreme. If I have to have an extreme, obviously I want praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that document actually means anything. The one that's hanging. Where is it? Right there. That one. Get it in the camera right. Anyway, if that thing means anything, then I think it'll go the way we want. But real quick before I move on here, Pat in a bunker, Pat on the road tonight, super chat for $20, and you didn't even ask anything, dude. We appreciate you. We love you. So Clint's in the house. Love that name. Can't get enough of it. My favorite. I just can't say it fast. But Clint's here tonight too. Okay, G's got questions tonight. Which media are most useful and which least useful for 2A awareness? Has opinion of any changed? Books, blogs, radio, podcasts, video newsletters, streaming courses, 2A rallies. 2A rallies are fun. I don't know how useful they are as far as growing awareness, but a rally to me is like a tent revival to a Baptist minister. Tent revivals are great because there are people who come to Jesus in a tent revival. And for those of you that, don't believe in the Bible or Jesus, just run with me here. There are people that come to Jesus in a tent revival. There are a lot more people that already know Jesus that just get recharged. I mean, it's such an electric atmosphere if you've ever been to a revival where things are happening and you can feel it, and that's what does draw people in to know the Lord. But the rest of the people, I mean, they're singing, they're dancing, they're laughing, having a lot of fun. I'm not quite as extreme as the people that flop down and have convulsions in the aisles, but I mean, if that's your thing, have at it. I can't say that one way or the other. That's what 2A rallies are for. 2A rallies pump everybody up, recharge the batteries, because those of us that have been in the trenches, you guys know that it's completely exhausting sometimes. And sometimes you have to back away, take time to recharge the batteries. But a rally is a great way to top that charge off. And it's kind of like that 30-minute quick charge where it's not as productive as just a week or a month or whatever of just pulling away from the world and getting some rest. But at least it'll fire you back up. It'll rekindle that flame if your flame's starting to die out. So rallies are awesome for that. As far as bringing new people into the fold, I don't think they do much because, if like over the weekend, the Independence Day holiday weekend here in my town, there were people that had not a rally, just a protest. They were down on the street corner, that one of the big intersections in town, with signs and stuff, doing everything the right way, peaceful, staying out of the road, staying on the sidewalk, staying on public property, exercising their First Amendment right, and power to them for that. I didn't like what they had on their signs. I mean, they were in favor of being able to murder unborn children, and I'm not for that. But I absolutely 100% believe in their right to have those signs and to put them up there, standing there on the sidewalk on public property. That's their right to do so, and power to them for exercising their right. They know that rights are like anything else. If you don't exercise them, you lose them. So good for that. But they're not pulling any. I mean, they didn't convince anybody that oh, you know what, that sign changed my mind. Like, now I think it is okay to murder an unborn baby. I can understand the merits of it now. It's, I'm a convert. No, that's not how that works. It makes people think about it. It makes people talk about it. But depending on where you have your rally, you may reach people, you may not. Mostly it's just preaching to the choir or preaching to the converted, but that's okay too, because again, the converted need that preaching sometimes. Books are great for the people that read books. The people that read books typically are pretty educated anyway, and so they don't need those to be brought into the fold. Excuse me. Blogs, does anybody blog anymore? I mean, honestly, I know that we have the Slowfax and WordPress and some of those, but overall, I mean, I don't know. That's not my thing. Maybe they're more popular than I realize. Radio's cool. There's still some really good conservative radio out there. A lot of shows in syndication. What's the one out in San Diego? Gun Owners Radio that does their thing for a couple hours every Sunday afternoon. Really like those guys and what they have to say. They say and they get some cool guests, and sometimes it's even people that we know. Podcast, worthless, completely stupid. Who does a podcast? Those things are asinine. I don't even know why people think that that's a thing. Obviously, I think podcasts are great. That's why I do one. You guys watching live, we can converse with each other just like this. The people that watch it after the fact, you can still share this and help this grow. I always joke this is the best show that nobody's watching, but I would sure love for this to be a show that even if more people watch it, it may not be the best anymore, but I'll be happy if more people watch it. And I can't do that without you. I mean, I can only do so much. I can try and come up with interesting things to talk about, things that people care about. I can't make people watch. I can't raise awareness. I can only reach so far, especially on Facebook, which is my primary social media, where I've been completely. I'm not even shadow banned. I'm not banned. What there's got to be a word for. I'm not shadow banned because they don't hide it. They tell me every time I log into my page. In fact, let me do this. I'll hold this up to the camera. Every time I go to Sandhills Media on my phone, the first thing that they show me, let's see if I can get this in focus here. Right there. You can't invite friends to like your page right now. And if I can't invite friends, that means that I'm also not getting put in front of people's news feeds unless you specifically share my stuff. And every now and then I'll have a post that goes viral, and it's crazy. The big ones that have over a million million people reached or whatever, typically they're not about guns. They're about Joe Biden being stupid or something like that. It's funny, but the good stuff, the good mic drop memes and the mic drop things that I think they're mic drop moments when I just write something of myself and put it up there, those don't tend to go as far. So I really need your help if you're on the Facebook side, sharing all that stuff. Video is great. Newsletters are great for some people. I think they're a useful tool because not everybody has social media, not everybody has email. So a true paper newsletter that gets mailed out with a stamp or bulk rate stamp or whatever, there are still people that like that actual printed word. And I'm kind of the same way. If I'm going to read very much, if it's a quick article, sure, I'll read it on my phone or on a computer, but I don't get Kindle books or even audiobooks, although audiobooks, I should probably do more of those. But if I'm going to read a book, I want to read the book. If I'm going to read a magazine, I want to read the magazine. I've got a stack of them upstairs of, what is it? Guns Magazine and American Handgunner and Combat Handguns, Guns and Ammo, all the good stuff. But I actually want that mailed to my mailbox so I can hold the magazine in my hand and read it and not have to spend all my time squinting at a screen. I do that enough throughout my day and throughout my evening, but if I'm going to read, I want to read. If it's a book, I want to hold the book. I want to smell the book. I want to smell the ink on the pages. It's hard to beat that smell, especially old bookstores rock, right? So all that stuff, all of it's important. The least useful are the things that are old fashioned, newspapers and well, newspapers for sure. Radio, TV, those are still reaching people. More and more people are cutting the cord, as they call it, doing away with satellite or cable and going to everything streaming. But most of the TV channels are still on the streaming services. So I don't think those ever go away. I think live TV is still going to be a thing, at least for news outlets, sports, live events, things like that. But also the fact that, when the new episode of America's Got Talent or Grey's Anatomy or whatever it is that you like to watch comes on, I know people that watch from across the country and they get on the phone with each other and they watch this show, at the same time, and discuss it and whatever, just like they were sitting on the same couch together watching it. So I know people do that. And I think TV, having live TV, that's never going away. I just wish that there was a way to infiltrate Hollywood. That's the problem, is the more ground we make up getting awareness out there, the crazier Hollywood is willing to get to try and convince people of the way things really are. And it's sad how many people believe what they see on TV, especially on the big screen. And they think, well, that's not how it is because of this. This was just last night. We were in between show. We don't typically watch a lot of shows when they're on because we hate commercials unless it's a hockey game or a Husker football game. We're probably not watching very much live. So we record stuff and then watch it later and skip the commercials, as a lot of people do. And so we're in between shows last night, and the TV's running. It's on. I don't even know. It wasn't Game Show Network. It was one of those networks that runs old shows and old game shows and stuff. And this was from the 80s. It was an old Hollywood Squares, I believe it was. But the question was, in a dog sled race, or actual dog sledders, do they actually say mush to get the dogs to go, or is that only on TV? And the person said, it's real, it's not just on TV, and the contestant agreed. It was wrong. I mean, no, that's not. If you actually run a team of dogs, and a dog sled, then you obviously already knew that. But I didn't know. I never thought much about it, but I didn't know that wasn't real. That's just something that's made up for TV. They don't actually do that. I spent most of my my life believing that was the case, and so it makes me wonder, what else does TV have me believe in, or movies have me believing, that really isn't true? So it just makes me wonder. But no, really good question, G. I liked that one. Krabby Turtle's out there. What's up, Krabby? Yeah, Gun Owners Radio in Southern California. Yeah, San Diego. I know is where they are. One of the really the only place in California that I've ever been to was San Diego and surrounding area. Been to Miramar, not when it was a naval installation. It was, what was that, 5 years ago? Yeah, a little over. Yeah, we just celebrated our 5th anniversary, and it was right before the wedding. So yes, it was a little over 5 years ago now. We were out at Miramar. Very cool though. It's a Marine base now, but we got to hang out on the flight line and touch a couple of F-18s. Really, really cool. Hosted by a couple of Marine captains that were pilots with the Black Knights. If you recently watched the movie Independence Day, because it was Independence Day, then you know who the Black Knights are. They're a real Marine wing, and we got to meet a couple of them. Very cool. Got some cool swag. They took us over to the O Club and hosted us for lunch there. It's not the same O Club that's in Top Gun, except for I think maybe a couple external shots for some B-roll, but the internal shots were not filmed at the real O Club. But it's cool. Great place if you get a chance to go out and tour it. Very, very cool. Best part was, typically tours come through after hours on a weeknight or on a weekend. We were there on a Monday morning, and so it was active. I mean, there were actual corporals out there checking out with clipboards, checking things off. There, we had like 5 planes where we were standing there, and one of them they popped the cockpit open and wheeled stairs over to it. So we had one Marine captain on the ground talking to us, and then the other guy climbed up and was sitting on the far edge of the cockpit, and we could go up there 1 or 2 at a time up the stairs and look inside the cockpit, and if we asked what something was, he would explain what everything was as far as the navigation and all that. Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, these were real planes, not museum planes. These were Uncle Sam's actual F-18s, which I know since then they've switched over to F-35s, but it was still cool. Let's see here. Pat's got questions. What's going to happen between the Supreme Court ruling and the legislation ruling? And what are the differences? What'll be overruled? Okay, so here's the way this works. Quick civics lesson for most of you. This should be a review. The jobs of the 3 branches of government: the executive branch, which is the president. It's their job to enforce the laws. That's it. The legislative branch, Congress, it's their job to make the laws. That's it. And then the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court, is their job to interpret the laws. So the Congress makes the law, the Supreme Court interprets the law to be constitutional, and it's the president's job to enforce that law and make sure it stays enforced. And so that's really what happens. So the differences are the legislation, they can pass whatever law they want. Clearly, as we've seen, if it gets to the Supreme Court looks at it and says, this is not actually constitutional. And moving forward, you have to apply these standards to any law that pertains to, for instance, the Second Amendment. So several cases got remanded back down to the lower courts to be reevaluated with a new set of criteria, and said you filter everything through this specific set of lenses, and then get back to us, or get back to the case and rule on it this way. And so we'll see what happens in those. They still have to be decided by the lower courts, and then either cool, we like what we got for an answer, or reappealed back up to Supreme Court again after that. So that's what the difference is. Once the Supreme Court rules on something, that's it. It can't be appealed. There's no higher appeal than the Supreme Court. Now, there could be something that happens years later, like 49 years later. There can be a ruling that the Supreme Court makes in 1973 that come 2022, the Supreme Court looks at it and says it actually wasn't decided correctly, because, here's another case that we're reviewing, and because this is important, we have to go back and look at the deciding case back in 1973, which we now see that wasn't actually decided correctly. So now we're going to rule this way, and it supersedes what was in the past. So the new ruling is the law of the land, which basically says that the federal government doesn't have any right making that decision. The federal government doesn't have the power to make that decision. Therefore, they just give the power back to the states. So if you're a He-Man fan, when Prince Adam holds up the sword of power and says, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power, but then to turn from He-Man back to Prince Adam, he says, let the power return. Well, that's what they did. They let the power return. It's back to the states now. So a lot of people are going to try and scare you and say, well, they're going to make it to where you can't, women's suffrage is next or whatever. Well, even if the Supreme Court would decide that, and they can't, because it's an amendment to the Constitution, so nobody's challenged that one. The Supreme Court can't just willy-nilly rule on laws that cases haven't come up to them, but so they can't overturn women's suffrage. But even if they did, that would mean that the states get to decide whether or not women can vote, not that women just can't vote. Okay, so it's crazy. A lot of people are very upset, and this isn't about guns, but the Roe versus Wade decision here. People are mad because they can't believe the government would just completely trample the rights of these people to do this thing, which happened, several times throughout our history as a nation. There were lots of people throughout the South that just couldn't believe the government would trample the rights of those slave owners and not allow them, one human being to own another human being. Now, fast forward 150 years, and we're thinking, how could they not see that this wasn't right? So I hope 150 years from now, people look back at history and say, what the hell were they thinking between 1973 and 2022, where they thought it was okay to murder people just because they hadn't been born yet? It's not okay to own somebody. It's not okay to murder somebody. It doesn't matter if they've breathed air or not. It doesn't matter. It's not about my body or your body. It's about the fact that somebody's body got killed, and that's a felony. That's a felony in all 50 states. It should be. It doesn't matter if they've breathed air or not. If that was the case, people on ventilators wouldn't be humans, and it wouldn't matter if people unplugged them. You wouldn't have to go through all the legal channels to be able to do such a thing, because those people they wouldn't be people. They're not human, because they don't breathe on their own. They don't breathe air, or they do breathe air, but their oxygen is pumped into them just like an unborn fetus. It's not a baby. It's not a child. It's not a human being. It's just a fetus. You never know. It could be an alligator when it comes out. It could hatch out into an oak tree. This fetus, we don't know. There's no guarantee it's going to be a human being, right? We have to wait and see. We have to see what it identifies as before we can rule on it. Yes. All right. Political ad being run by Jerome Davison. I don't know who that is, but we'll have to look it out. Says it's the best pro-gun ad ever. So there we go. I don't know what the Mojo comment was, but that's cool. All right. Well, we've kind of filled our time because you guys had some questions that made me wax eloquent. Maybe it wasn't so eloquent. Maybe it wasn't so waxy. I don't know. but anyway, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. And so, real quick before we go, again, let me remind you that today's show was brought to you over 2 different Facebook pages and YouTube by Garrett Keel over at Open Country Firearms in Osmond, Nebraska. And we'll put that up on the screen for those of you watching. Again, Garrett's goal with Open Country was to create a great storefront and assist responsible gun owners in new and used purchases, custom orders, transfers, and more. He's always been an advocate for the Second Amendment and thought opening his own gun store would be an excellent way to help shooters get what they want and connect with new people. You can get a hold of Garrett at 402-841-0970 or visit opencountryfirearms.com for some of the best deals on new and used firearms, ammunition, and now suppressors. And like I said, he's got all kinds of cool stuff, thermal optics and varmint guns and hunting guns and self-defense guns. And I haven't seen anything yet that would qualify as an assault gun. They all look like they're defensive stuff. Although, if we're being honest, I do have a couple of rifles that probably are assault rifles because I don't use them as defense. I do go on the offense with them and hunt animals. So I guess I am technically assaulting the animal if that's the way you want to look at it. I call it harvesting, but those are not for defense. So if anything, and a lot of people find those rifles to be just as offensive, and the fact that I use them to hunt other animals as they're offended by that's offensive too. But anyway, he's got all kinds of cool stuff. So go check out Garrett and everything that he's got going on. And we'll do the list because my beautiful bride has handed the list to me. So again, if you weren't making comments, we did not get to see you out there. We don't know that you were along for the ride. I don't know if you're still here, but there is a dude in Omaha that doesn't want his doesn't want to have a profile. He doesn't want anybody tracking him. He doesn't want to make any comments, but he watches a lot, he told me. So if you're out there, cool. Glad to have you along. I get it. Text me. You've got my number. Text me if you're out there, and you can always comment via text right to me, dude. He's like the brother I never got to have. All right. So on the YouTube side tonight, we had DJ Play Nice, Irish Wristwatcher, Agorizer, Sam of Anarchy, Scott79, Mike, Gizzard Gary, Patriot in the Dark, Pat in a Bunker on the road, G Webs, Clint, Taurus, Krabby Turtle, Keith Gregory, and I think that might have been everybody. Of course, Sandhill Sweetheart as well. And then on the on the Facebook side, we only saw Jeff out there tonight. So Jeff, thanks for holding it down and representing the Facebook side and keeping those comments out there as well. So yeah, you know what? If you want a good charity, go check out Briggs and Barrett Project. And oh, he did text me. He loves me too. It's okay, dude. I love you 3000. All right, so yeah, go check out Briggs and Barrett Project. It has nothing to do with guns or the Second Amendment, but it's a real good place to support, and it's not a scam. They're not so big that there's any corruption in there. Your donations go directly to benefit families who need those benefits. And those little owlets, I tell you what, they're so cool when you find out what they do. But yeah, I mean, if it saves just one child's life, then it's worth it, right? So gotta love that part. Everything that we do is literally on our side of the fight is for the kids. It's so that we have a free country for them to inherit, right? My wife got me started putting things in the recycling bin because she wants to leave a decent earth for her nephews to inherit. And yeah, we fight for our freedom, not for ourselves, but for our children and their children and their children's children to have a free country to inherit as well. But Reagan said it best, and it's hanging on the wall. You can't read it. It's right behind the Open Country there on the screen, but it's hanging up there. His speech that said, freedom is never more than one generation away. So very, very cool that I got to hang that on the wall. If you listen to Gun Freedom Radio with Cheryl and Danny Todd, then that's the opening sequence. There is Reagan's speech. So pretty cool stuff. All right, that's going to be it. Thank all of you for joining. And again, please help share this. We like the likes. We like the subscriptions or follow the page. I'm trying to get the Sandhill Media Facebook page up over 10,000. We're sitting about 900 or 9,830 right now. So we need about 170 more likes. Once we get to 10K, I'm going to do a giveaway. So if you're on the Facebook side, then help share it. If you're on Facebook and you haven't gone over and liked the page, please go do so. We would love that. And if you're on Facebook and you haven't gone to YouTube and subscribed to the channel over here, do that too. That'd be great. So otherwise, we'll see you next week. I don't know if we're going to have a panel or not. We'll see. This week's been kind of nuts. Next week is going to be a little less nuts, maybe. Monday and Tuesday are kind of shot. Monday is I've got teaching a class on the instructor side. So cool class. It's part 3 of 3. We started this group of ladies out. Most of them were pretty well beginners. By the time we get through with them after this last leg of the class, they're going to be more prepared than the average person taking a concealed handgun permit course here in Nebraska, which I've got that coming up in August. If you're in Northeast Nebraska and you want to get your concealed handgun permit, go to sandhillsdefense.com and click on the button that says find a class, and then find the Nebraska concealed handgun permit class. Go click on that, and then you can register for that. August 13th and 14th. The classroom side is the 13th most of the day. We'll go shoot on the 14th. You'll only have to give up about an hour of your time each student, but I'll be out there all day getting people through. I can only put 5 at a time on the line. It's part of the guidelines with the state, so I can't do more than that. If I did, I would invalidate every permit that's ever been issued that I've been part of, so can't do that. All right, that's it. That's all the announcements. God bless you. We love you guys, but we got to go. You got to go. It's time. Get off my lawn.